Sam Johnson's life of leadership through civic service began long before he served his first day in the United States Congress. As a lieutenant in the U.S. Air Force, Johnson first served his country in the Vietnam War. It was there his character was defined and the foundation for his leadership perspective forged. In 1966, Johnson was flying reconnaissance missions over Vietnam when, in a moment that would forever change his life, he was shot down by the enemy.
We took a series of pretty heavy anti-aircraft, and every light in the cockpit came on, and the stick went full forward and the airplane went straight down.
An injured Johnson was captured in the jungle and became a prisoner of war. What ensued was a horrendous period of nearly 7 years in which Johnson was consistently mistreated and tortured. It began when Vietnamese soldiers rushed him to a mock trial 10 days after his capture.
They took me out to a house where they had set up a court, a judge and a jury just like you see in the United States. Anyway, they went through the whole trial, and a judge said through the interpreter, "You've been sentenced to die. You're a war criminal." And there was a firing squad, 5 guys with rifles, AK-47 Russian rifles, and they each pulled a clip out of the back of their belt and jammed them in the rifle and charged the rifles. And I'm standing in front of a slip trench, and they point them at me. Well, when the officer called fire, those guns went click, 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 click. And I thought, wow. And I laughed at them. And they kicked me in a slip trench, and from that point forward, I never had any fear of them again.
The lack of fear was aided by a sense of hope. Hope Johnson would need to see him through his ordeal.
I was in pretty serious pain, and those guys, as an effort to try to get information out of you, this arm, which had been in a cast, as I said, they took it and twisted it clear around my body and pulled it out the other side and broke it again. After about a week, they gave up.
Eventually, Johnson was moved to another facility where he spent 42 months in solitary confinement, half of that time locked in leg irons.
They made me lay down on that concrete bunk and lifted the stocks and put my legs in them and locked them down, and like the old Pilgrim Day stocks, but you don't move. And they left me there for 72 days. Well, solitary confinement is a term we use for being by yourself. And like I say, I was by myself for 42 months. And I guess, difficult part of that is that it's just not the right environment to be in for that length of time.
Although he watched some of his friends die in the prison camps, Johnson never lost hope throughout his ordeal. He never gave up. That hope was realized in 1973 when the end of the war was formally announced. Finally, Sam Johnson was going home.
And when we got over water, we all started clapping and yelling and screaming, and it was really, just a joyous atmosphere. And then we landed in the Philippines, and so help me, the whole base had turned out in the middle of the night, and we didn't realize that they were televising it back to the United States, and just overwhelming, I guess, is the right word. It was, we never realized that there was going to be that kind of welcoming committee.
Over time and through forgiving his captors, Sam Johnson overcame the emotional scars of his near 7-year ordeal. At home, he became even more committed to serve and lead his country. So he ran for public office, and today, Congressman Sam Johnson is a highly respected representative from the state of Texas, serving America in Washington, D.C. His experience over 30 years ago developed a true appreciation of the freedom for which he courageously fought, a freedom worth the price he paid to preserve then, and worth every ounce of energy he pours into his life of servant leadership today.
You don't know what you've lost until you lose your freedom. The guy left a saying on the wall there in Hanoi that says, "Freedom has a taste to those who fight and almost die that the protected will never know."